The storm had come without warning. On most worlds that wouldn't have been remarkable. But Cathara 7 was a desert moon, circling a gas giant so vast it blotted out half the sky. Rain fell here perhaps twice in a standard year, and thunder was the stuff of ancient folklore whispered by the indigenous Cathari around their ceremonial fires. Elira had been conducting her survey when the first drops hit her visor. She'd looked up at the bruised purple sky, watched the clouds roil and twist like living things, and made the sensible decision to take shelter in the nearby canyon network. Her portable lab could wait. The xenobotanical samples she'd collected that morning were already stored safely in her pack's cryo unit. She'd barely made it 30 meters into the canyon when she heard it, a sound that made her stop mid-step and activate her suit's threat detection system. A whimper, no, not quite a whimper, something between a hiss and a mewl, high-pitched and desperate. Elira had spent enough time in xenobiology divisions to know distress when she heard it, regardless of the species. She found the cub wedged between two rust-colored boulders, its 6 legs folded tight against its body. Even curled into itself, it was nearly a meter long. Midnight blue scales caught the dim light filtering through the storm clouds, and its 4 eyes, 2 forward-facing, 2 on the sides of its elongated skull, were wide with terror. A Kethari youth. Specifically a thornback prowler cub. Elira's suit helpfully provided statistics across her heads-up display. Apex predator, pack hunter, capable of taking down prey 3 times its size even in juvenile form. Adult specimens had been known to breach military-grade barriers. Bite force of 3,000 psi, neurotoxic saliva. Well, Elira said softly, aren't you far from home? The cub's head snapped toward her, all 4 eyes focusing with predatory precision, its lips pulled back, revealing rows of crystalline teeth. A warning rattle emerged from somewhere deep in its chest. Then the thunder came. It wasn't the distant rumble Earthborn humans knew. Cathara 7's thin atmosphere did something strange to sound, amplifying it, making it feel like the sky itself was tearing open. The boom echoed through the canyon, bouncing off stone walls, building upon itself until it became almost physical. The cub forgot all about Elira. It flattened entirely against the ground, scales clattering against rock, and released a sound she'd never heard from a Cathari before. Pure, undisguised terror. Elira's threat assessment system was still flashing warnings. Colonial protocols were clear. Maintain distance from indigenous predators, especially juveniles whose parents might be nearby. Do not engage. Do not approach. She took 3 steps forward and sat down. The cub, Roe, she decided to call it, after the statistical designation her suit had assigned, was shaking so violently its scales made a sound like wind chimes. Its eyes were squeezed shut now, head pressed against stone as if trying to burrow through solid rock. Hey, Elira said. Hey, it's all right, Roe didn't respond. Another crack of thunder split the air, and the cub's claws scraped gouges in the canyon floor. Elira had grown up on Terra, in the old Scandinavian territories where winter storms rolled in from the Arctic like frozen juggernauts. Her grandmother had taught her the old ways, how to read weather patterns, how to find shelter, how to keep calm when the world turned hostile. And she'd taught her something else, too. She'd taught her to hum. It wasn't a song exactly. No words, no particular melody, just a low, steady sound that resonated in her chest and throat. Her grandmother had hummed it during power outages, during the long, dark months when seasonal depression pressed down like a physical weight. She'd hummed it when Elira had nightmares about the colony raids on the outer settlements. Now, alone in a canyon on an alien moon with a predator cub that could easily kill her, Elira hummed. The sound filled the small space between the boulders. It wasn't loud, couldn't compete with the thunder, but it was constant, steady, like a heartbeat rendered audible. One of Roe's eyes cracked open. Elira kept humming. She didn't look directly at the cub, knew enough about predator psychology to understand that direct eye contact was a challenge. Instead, she gazed past it toward the curtain of rain now visible at the canyon's mouth. The humming continued, rising and falling in gentle waves. The thunder came again, but this time Roe didn't flatten completely. Its shaking diminished slightly. Both forward-facing eyes were open now, fixed on the strange creature that made the strange sound. Minutes passed. The storm raged outside their shelter, turning the desert into something unrecognizable, Lightning painted the canyon walls in stuttering white light. But inside the small space between boulders, Elira hummed and Ro listened. Slowly, so slowly Elira almost didn't notice. The cub began to move. It uncurled slightly, extending one leg, then another, its head lifted from the stone. The membrane over its eyes that served as a third eyelid retracted fully. Elira kept humming. Ro took a tentative step toward her. Then another. Its threat display was gone, replaced by something else. Curiosity, maybe, or the simple, desperate need for comfort that transcended species. When the cub reached her, it paused. Elira could see her reflection in its four eyes, could smell its musk, something like copper and sage. Every survival instinct screamed at her to move, to protect her throat, to reach for the plasma cutter on her belt. Instead, she kept humming. Ro circled once, twice, then settled against her left boot. All 6 legs folded in that precise way juvenile Cathari had, turning it into a compact, scale-covered bundle. It rested its head on her shin, and Elira felt the weight of it, the warmth that radiated even through her suit's insulation. The cub's eyes closed. Outside, the storm continued its assault on the desert moon. Thunder rolled across the landscape like a living thing. Rain hammered the thirsty earth. Somewhere in the distance, adult Cathari were probably hunting, oblivious to the weather that had sent their young fleeing in terror. But in a small canyon between rust-colored boulders, a human sat perfectly still, humming an old earth melody to a sleeping predator cub that had chosen her boot as its refuge. When the Cathari pack found them 3 hours later, drawn by scent and parental instinct, they stopped at the canyon's entrance. The pack leader, massive and scarred, tilted its head in a gesture Elira's xenolinguistic database identified as profound confusion. The human was humming. The cub was sleeping, and somehow impossibly, both were alive. The pack leader made a decision that would later puzzle xenobiologists across 3 sectors. It sat down and waited for the storm to pass. Some things, it seemed, transcended language, culture, and evolution itself.